Hey everybody, Matt Johnston. I'm back with another COVID-19 legal update. So I've started to get a couple of questions about this kind of rumor going around about the Department of Labor not enforcing the provisions of the FFCRA, the Families First Coronavirus Recovery Act or Response Act. I forget which one it is. Doesn't matter. The FFCRA. So, under the terms of the FFCRA, the Department of Labor has been directed to forego enforcement of it for 1 month. So, basically, for the month of April. The law takes effect on April 1st. So, and from there, it then goes, there's a 30-day non-enforcement period. So, what does non-enforcement mean? Non-enforcement does not mean, I repeat, non-enforcement does not mean you don't comply with the law. Okay, let me say that again. Non-enforcement does not mean you don't have to comply with the law. Or put simply, you still have to follow the law. So what does the non-enforcement mean? Under the Wage and Hour Act and the Department of Labor's guiding statutory requirements, if an employee of a covered employer, so somebody who should be providing the paid sick leave or expanded FMLA, if an employer is covered and an employee is not receiving that leave, either one of them, they can call the Department of Labor and file a complaint. That's the normal process, and that has not changed whatsoever at all. What has changed is that at least for the paid sick leave, the federal paid sick leave, and the expanded FMLA, for the first 30 days, if the Department of Labor receives a complaint, the Department of Labor may not enforce that complaint, may not enforce or apply penalties, may not do other things that the Department of Labor can do. Okay? That doesn't mean you get to not comply with the law. You still have to comply with the law. So, what are some of the conditions under which the Department of Labor may choose to forego enforcement? If the employer is making a reasonable effort to comply and has made reasonable actions to correct its mistakes. So what does reasonable mean? Reasonable is going to mean what are some of the circumstances that you as a business owner are facing, and why did you not comply with the law? There is going to be a certain amount of misunderstanding. As with any piece of legislation that is quite large, although not as large as the CARES Act, this is a new piece of legislation. There's not been a lot of time to review it, but once you learn of your mistake, did you go back and try and correct it? That's the big thing. Once you found out, did you make a reasonable effort to correct it? Did you make a reasonable effort to avoid it? So some of the things that are going to be reasonable efforts. Have you spoken to an attorney? Have you reviewed the guidance that the Department of Labor has put out? Have you investigated on your own what the requirements are? Those are the kinds of reasonable actions that the Department of Labor is going to be looking at to see if you are making an effort to comply. So, non-enforcement does not mean non-compliance. You still have to follow the law. If you have any questions about what the law means, give us a call. You can schedule a short phone call with us. There's a link down below. And you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is in one of these two corners. We'll be putting out some more updates as things go along. In the meantime, keep washing your hands, practice some social distancing, keep your chin up. We're going to get through this, and I will speak to everybody later. Bye-bye.